Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And yes, we did have a chance to check out Till Death Do Us Part. I do have a review up on the channel. If you haven't checked it out, I do recommend it. And I did get a chance to sit down with the director of Till Death Do Us Part, Timothy Woodward Jr. Had a lot of interesting things to say, a lot of insights into the film and just filmmaking in general. A lot of great conversation here. I was really excited to sit down with a creative like him and pick his brain a little bit. So yeah, it was a real great interview. But without further ado, let's get into it. What stuck out to you when choosing this project? Was this something where the concept? I think nowadays, with so many stories being told, it always kind of you have to have that unique twist, and I think Till Death Do Us Part definitely has that unique twist.
Yeah, I think the concept was great. I was looking for something to work with Natalie on, and in the script there's a Def Leppard quote right off the bat in it, and I was thinking, you know what, a wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. There's an opportunity to turn this into like a 1990s rom-com gone bad, and we can have a lot of fun with it. And so that was literally like one of the big things that drew me was I can do something that's stylistically fun. I can have a good time, and we can shoot some kick-ass action and horror and have a blast doing it.
And being able to see it, I think it works perfectly. I mean, it really gels. And looking at that opening scene where, I mean, you have some of the shot composition here is just absolutely beautiful. It just opening up when we're kind of setting the tone for the wedding and everything like that. It kind of gives you this almost romantic, jovial feel to it. I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on tonally, how important is that, especially when we jump later on to kind of get into that unique twist?
Very, very, very important because we wanted it to feel like you're watching a 90s rom-com opening up, and we wanted to start off giving you the wide shots, moving, introduce the best man's speech and just make you feel like you're in a completely different movie in every way, shape, or form. And then even when we leave the wedding and we go into the port, the big shots of the beach and stuff like that, we're doing the same thing. And then we start getting tighter at the bar, tighter, and then we're in the car and we're very tight before we're about to let it breathe again, and you're getting introduced to a new house. So it was all the composition and shots were very designed to do that and designed to kind of flow with the story. And it was super important to be completely opposite of what the house was in every way, shape, or form, and the feel of the house, which is much more horror, action, thriller, lighting, and heavy contrast. But we had to do it in a way that where these lights were practical, where they were hidden through the house, and they were, they felt like they were a part of the house, and the house was its own character.
And like noticing me and my co-hosts who couldn't make it today, we run a horror-based podcast. So, things like The Final Wish, The Call are all in our wheelhouse, things that we've seen, which really got, our intrigue for Till Death Do Us Part. And looking at each different film, I mean, aesthetically, they're gorgeous. Everything that you do in those, they're just, I always go back to The Final Wish. There's I believe that there's a bar scene in there, and it's just so vibrant and beautiful. And I get that here with Till Death Do Us Part. Is that something that for you, because you could take all three of those films and you look at them and they all bring something new and something different, I feel. Is that something where it just comes naturally to you when you're on set and you're like, oh, we should do this and do that? Or is it something that is more strategic for you where it's like, I want to make these feel all completely different?
I think that it's like there's an overall look and feel that myself and my collaborator, DP Pablo, have come up with over a lot of our films, that we have a certain style where we always are looking to mix color where it's possible. But, each film has to have its own unique feel. You mentioned The Call, for example. When we're in the world of The Call, we, chose this really red, dark red for the nightmare world of it. And then we chose this, deep greens and tungsten light for the rest of the film. And in this, we have, a lot of really cool blues, ice tones, but each room even has its own look. So the basement style room is like a cool blue that's overall with a little hint of red. Upstairs is a tungsten lit room, and then downstairs you have the mixed colors where it's the blue, red, and then outside you have the red lights that are up from the bulbs that are everywhere. So each different, and the camper has its own green. So each section has its own lighting schematic that blends with the other one that's different. and that's done on purpose with a style and a reason. So everything is pretty strategic. We're not just kind of laying it out and going, this is the what that we're using and let's do it. And we also do all of this in camera. So what you see is what you get. It's really tweaked. But when you pull a screenshot from my monitor, it looks like what you see in the film. We're
Okay.
not coloring afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, and I as watching Till Death Do Us part, I'm taking little notes and everything like that, and it's just like, I look at my page after I'm done, and it's just so many comments on how beautifully everything comes together on there. And going into the Till Death Do Us part, there's a lot of moving parts literally in this, where it's like you have a bigger cast with a lot of the groomsmen, and then filming action in general can be a tough job. What were some whether it was just one or several bigger obstacles that you face while filming Till Death Do Us part?
Biggest obstacle, which I've been saying, is I actually got really sick on the boat. So I had we have a 100-foot yacht that people forget about. They always talk about the house and stuff, but we had this huge yacht that we shot on with the Jason Patrick stuff. And, I almost threw up on him and everybody else, because I literally threw up about 40 times. I felt like I was going to die, those days we were on the boat, because we were chasing the sun to make the shot look beautiful. So the sun's got to be here, the boat's got to be here, and we're up against the waves. So the boat's moving, shaking, but my monitor, everybody looks normal because the camera's on the tripod. So as the people move, the camera moves. So it creates this. So I'm having to stare at some of these scenes for 10 minutes at the screen while we're rocking and the boat's moving. So I'm just throwing up everywhere. So that was a challenge. And then, always with the fights, it's hard to do. On the last fight with where the bride and the groom, this big dance, I decided, hey, instead of like it's scripted where they kind of just talk and there's like a painting and they're looking out of a window, I said, fuck it, we're going to make the whole scene a dance, where they dance while they're talking, and it's a dip back and forth, and it's like they have everything and then they're moving over here and then it's going to blow up. That, was supposed to be scheduled for a day and a half, and it'll be in 2 days, but it was just very challenging to do that. It's about 11 pages, and that fight was intense, and it's concrete floors, and I wanted to show the floor and not really, so they didn't use pads with the acting and with the fighting, and it was intense, to get that. And then also the dance, getting the being able to choreograph while they're already having this huge monologues and this big scene, and having to place that where it stays interesting and shot with the silhouettes, and it comes back to the fairy tale moments of it, and all of that was challenging but rewarding at the end.
And it's funny you mentioned the dance, because as I was taking notes, I just wrote to myself on how well that worked in terms of building that tension, because you're waiting for that climax and you don't know when it's going to happen. So it's like making the audience earn it, I feel, in a sense, because it's just like you're just waiting for the final showdown that you're really looking for. So it's funny that there wasn't even initially in the script. Was there anything else like that you kind of pivoted from, that was just like, well, maybe this works better?
Well, we added so the Poncho's character, T-Bone and Big Sexy, they didn't have this conflict. There was none of these scenes where they were arguing back and forth and fighting. So we added a lot of that stuff. Poncho jumping out of the refrigerator was an added piece, so we added that. We added the chainsaw, that whole comeback around, that part wasn't in there. But there was a lot of really good gems in the script. I just kind of, tried to go in and enhance it where we could and kind of make it mine, and make it what I wanted to see. And, that's the approach I took with it.
And then when you're on set like that, do you try to stay as fluid as possible, where it's like open for, yes, this is what's on the page, but maybe let's take a look around and see what may work better visually for the audience?
I live by that. I live by that. I try my hardest to stay as fluid as possible so I can give justice to the images, especially in a indie world where we don't get the locations that are exactly written like it. I mean, this script, it's a log cabin on the water, and just a regular standard 2-story log cabin. And, my location's very different. We had it in the woods. So I added a dirt bike, and, because there has to be an escape mechanism since there's not a boat. So let's do a dirt bike instead. And I had to add a lot of things like that. Her crawling, going across the roof. That was because the location allowed me to have these exits. instead of the basement being a typical in the ground basement. So, you know, I always look at things and go, this is a better place to shoot. Now let's adapt the screen direction to that instead of getting stuck in what the script is supposed to be exactly.
Wonderful. And then just one last question. Like I said, we do run horror-based podcasts, so that's usually our wheelhouse. And kind of looking at your filmography, you have a wide range of things. And then, you know, you've kind of zeroed in on the horror genre. Is that something where it's just your preference? You love to play in that genre, or it's just something where it's like a pit stop and you want to go elsewhere as well? Or do you really have a preference?
I love cinema in general and being able to entertain. And I love a lot of, you know, different genres. I love the Western genre. I've done it. I love period pieces. I like action. You know, one thing that's nice about horror, though, that I've found I love is, number one, you have dedicated fans. Number two, it's a genre that you get to really play in post and add elements and things that you don't see that you can hear. And it's also something that's an experience. When you think about movies that you're going to experience with other people, horror is on the list because it's fear and it's, you know, be there. And then comedy is the other one. So it's fun. So those two elements that I like to add on this is that's the case. And often also when you're looking at budgets, you know, and you get just say a straight action movie, well, you know, Mission Impossible is an action movie and it costs, you know, $16 to go see. So, you know, you can't create that. But with horror, there's the opportunity to create something in that element and in that zone, and, you know, something that can kind of compete. And it's also the psychological nature of horror and, you know, thriller, because deep down, even with Till Death Do Us Part, it's a home invasion movie. You know what I mean? At its core, it's literally a woman hiding, you know, and trying to stay alive while these people are trying to kill her. You know, there's a lot of other layers to it that we've added, but it's a home invasion movie. And that's terrifying that someone could come into your house anyways and try to kill you. So that's just a staple of the genre. So that allowed us to, you know, play more with the horror for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you just mentioned like an intertwining of a lot of different feelings and mixtures and genres. It's I'll say with Till Death Do Us Part, you've mixed the horror, the comedy, as well as the action perfectly. So, you know, I'm a fan of The Final Wish, The Call, and now Till Death Do Us Part. I mean, it was great to be able to check this out and to be able to speak with you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. You know, we need as many people to know about the movie and to go see it in the theater because, you know, we're an true independent release movie. And, you know, we need that. People going to see it in a theater drives it so much for us, because I would love to do a part 2 for this. You know, I want to dip into this. We left the world for the university and we did a bunch of cool stuff. So I'd like to continue this story.
Absolutely. And I'll be honest, since I saw the trailer about a month and a half ago, I've shown it to a handful of people and a lot of people are excited about it. So I think you should have a pretty decent turnout at the very least. So
thank you, man. Thank you. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. Keep telling people, please.
Absolutely. Definitely worth it. Definitely. Was able to see it early, but I'm going to the theater to check it out because I need to see it on the big screen. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Talk later. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys, there you have it. My interview with Timothy Woodward Jr. I got to tell you, I love being able to sit down with creatives like this and being able to pick their brain and getting a peek behind the curtain of Till Death Do Us Part. Really intriguing film, a melding of genres, if you will, a sadistic romance. Would be a lot of fun at the theater. So if it is playing near you, I would highly recommend going to buy a ticket and supporting this smaller film. You got to do it, guys. And then go check out the review here on the channel, as well as a lot of the other fun stuff we have going on. Dylan was able to check out the Meg 2, so go check out his raw reaction, as well as our Talk to Me review. Went up a couple weeks ago. Still getting a lot of buzz, that film. And Sunday Scaries is always a lot of fun for your horror news. So make sure you stick with us here. If you just stumbled upon the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give us our videos a few likes, if you will, please. Thank you. And yeah, but until then, I'm Luke Janesco, and stay scared.